Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to the Impact Hour. I'm Aura Vasquez, your host for the day, and I am so excited today to talk to Andrea Ambriz about transforming spaces, a journey of leadership on Exposition Park's future and the LA Olympics. And if you don't know what Exposition Park is, well, let me tell you that you are on for a treat as we speak to the very CEO, latest executive director of this organization, which is going to walk us through what Exposition Park is and all the benefits that it's bringing to Los Angeles. And in addition, how is it preparing for the Olympics? So I want to also say that I'm very excited to have Andrea today in our live stream podcast session because she's someone that I know for many years. Her and I have bumped into each other in many rooms as it pertains to politics and community engagement. She also worked for former President Obama. She's going to tell us more of that. And I couldn't be more excited to see someone leading one of the most important open green spaces in Los Angeles and a Latina, daughter of immigrants. So, with no further ado, please help me welcome Andrea. Hi, Andrea. Welcome.
Hi, Auda. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be part of your podcast.
Thank you so much. And I'm so glad that you took me on this crazy idea to interview you because there are so many questions that I have about Exposition Park and so many things that I want people to know about you that they don't know about you. And before we start with the questions that I have for you, I just want to invite the audience that are watching right now on Facebook, on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, X, and Instagram to interact with us and to ask you questions and to ask me questions on the comments. All right. So it's very exciting to see all of the, preparations and all of the interest that the city of Los Angeles has taken on this particular open space. But I want to ask you, what is Exposition Park? Because a lot of folks have the idea that Exposition Park is either the Natural History Museum or the garden or is it the California African American Museum or what is it? So what is Exposition Park?
That's such a great question. I get that question all of the time. And Auda, it's all of those things and more. Exposition Park is in the heart of Los Angeles. I like to call it the gem of LA because it is just south of downtown Los Angeles, and it has over 9 different entities that encompass the entirety of the park and the campus. So I like to think about it as a mix of cultural, educational, and also entertainment and sports venues. We're, I think, the premier destination. There's nothing like us in Los Angeles, and I would argue there's nothing like us in the world. We have 4 museums: the California African American Museum, the California Science Center, which is home to the Space Shuttle Endeavour. We have the Natural History Museum, which is LA County, home to a giant dinosaur that they just named, and also home to the new Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. Everyone is very excited about this, as am I, and it's looking forward to its opening in 2025. Then we have 3 sports and entertainment venues, 2 of those that have been used in the previous Olympics, one being the Argue Swim Stadium, the second being the LA Memorial Coliseum, where the USC football team plays, and also BMO, where LAFC and Angel City, 2 championship leagues, play. We also have the historic Rose Garden. We have a LAUSD school on campus for K through 5 students. We have a preschool, you name it, we probably have it at Exposition Park. And that's why it's such a unique environment in the heart of LA, encompasses 160 acres. And most importantly, it provides a green space to the community that really needs it.
How fascinating. I mean, I knew that Exposition Park is a conglomerate of a lot of open spaces and museums, but I didn't know it had that many. So I appreciate you taking us through all of those spaces. And I do have to say, I find this place fascinating. Not long ago, I was there at a party. It was a huge electronic music party. I'm a big electronic music fan. I'm also a big soccer fan as a Colombian, immigrant. We grow up kind of with soccer. It's much about our culture. It's kind of part of the family. And I have gone to see, games there too. So
Mhm.
I think it's so fascinating that you, and obviously I have been to the Natural History Museum and the Rose Garden, which is beautiful, but
Yep.
I didn't know that there was a school there.
Yeah, yeah. There's a school there. It's a science-based curriculum, so we're preparing the next generation of leaders. I like to say it like this: we not only are taking care of our babies in our neighborhoods and growing their minds, but then we're also giving a backyard of play for adults that want to come to the park too. So it's a mix. Everything is at the park, and it really is something for everyone.
So thank you for that. And and thinking about this huge conglomerate of places where I'm guessing thousands of people visit a day, you
Millions.
know, and yeah, exactly, from different walks of life, from different interests. Share with us what was like for you when you became the executive director. What was that feeling like? What was the sense of, wow, like I now I'm leading this place that is a leading open space in Los Angeles.
Thanks for asking because I ask myself this every day. I ask myself like I can't believe I get to do this job every single day. Sorry, you just heard my dog barking. You might
Bring
hear
the
her
dog, bring
coming
the
back.
dog to the podcast.
As soon as she wants to come back, I'll bring her. But I ask myself this every day. How did I get so lucky to be at the helm of this really incredible, iconic space for LA? And especially in this time, Aura, that's the
Mhm.
most exciting kind of opportunity. I've spent a career in government and community outreach and engagement, serving others in DC and Sacramento and Chicago and in different places. And I always planned to come back home. And when it was just the right time, I was able to return and I'm able to bring all of those experiences that I've had ready to prepare for, I think, a moment, maybe even like this, that I would have never dreamed of or expected. And this place, as I was mentioning, is both an environmental haven as a green space for the community, but then it's also all of those other cultural, educational, entertainment options for the community. And it's just such a privilege and an honor to be able to bridge those together and to be able to work with such incredible leaders at each of these institutions too. That's the best thing. Every day I get to work with the directors of each of those entities. And it's really impressive because everybody has the exact same commitment. We want to support and we want to help the community, and we want to find a way that we can make Exposition Park better for this
Mhm.
generation and generations to come. So it's really just such an honor and a treat every day. Every day.
Wow. That is I can totally understand that, because I mean sometimes we're given these huge roles, and when it actually happens is incredible to see that you all the trajectory that took to get to where you are today. And I would love for you to tell us a little bit about your journey, and how did you get here. A lot of times when you see the news and you see the press releases, it's very exciting, but people don't have any idea how much it takes, and all of the effort and all of the history, right? Because it wasn't that you just got there.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your journey getting to become the CEO of Exposition Park.
Thanks. Well, first, I'm born and raised in LA, so anything that I could do to help LA, I was, like, sign me up. I'm ready to do it. And especially after all of that experience that I had in different places, I was lucky enough to work in Sacramento, and actually, that's how I believe we came across each other. We were both advocating to try to make kind of our communities better. You
Yeah.
on the kind of nonprofit side and focusing on clean air and health, and me focusing on some legislation to bring some green spaces to our
Mhm.
communities. So, I mean, we go back, I think it must be at this point nearly 20 years
Yeah.
that we've been both doing this. And I think it really speaks to the commitment that a lot of us have to make sure that every day we're getting up and we're doing whatever we can in our workplaces, in our personal lives, to make sure that communities are better than when we began, and we can leave it even better. So I was able to work in Sacramento, and I was able to work on a broad set of policies. I was actually telling a young group this just recently. I started off in education policy, thinking as a child of immigrants, the way to advance and the way to engage with community is really to educate ourselves and then use that as an opportunity to improve the lives of others. And I still do believe that. And when I was in Sacramento, I had another realization, which is it really is a matter of resources and dedication and prioritization of resources, and how eventually education does get funded and communities get served. So I kept on that journey. We focused on a lot of community development investments. We talked a lot about how communities were rightfully getting the resources that they needed, especially those that were in need and in high need. We talked a lot about park poor communities and the fact that that is a proxy for kind of low educational attainment. It's a proxy for the inability to pay a lot of the bills and minimum wage labor. And when we think about it, it's a lot of communities that are in high need are those that are really working hard day in and day out and might not have the resources within their community to do community developments. And that's why it's important for the government to step in. So I kept on that journey. I eventually made my way to Washington, D.C. I was able to work on additional resource allocation at the Treasury Department. Never would have imagined that I would be there. Most importantly, never would have imagined that I would be able to serve our incredible 44th President of the United States, Barack Obama. And what a journey it was. Every day I think about the fact that my last major interaction with him, on my last day, I asked, how am I going to replace this moment? I don't know if I'm ever going to have a better boss. To which he kind of jokefully said, yeah, you're probably right. You won't. It's true. I mean, how do you beat that? But it has been such a privilege to be able to take that experience after working at Treasury and ultimately the White House to come back to LA and to work here. And now I have the honor and privilege for working for Governor Newsom and the state of California in my own backyard. My family grew up just blocks away from Exposition Park.
Wow.
Yeah.
What an incredible story that you were able to go and shine and learn and experiment and gain experience from the state level to the federal level and come back to serve home. That's such a beautiful journey, and so beautiful to be able to say that,
Yeah, it was an honor. And you know what? I think, especially as a young woman, here I was traversing around the world. I really did it because I had my family behind me saying, "Go do it." My mom always used to tell us this: "You can leave, you can go, and you'll always come back. So don't worry about it.
Oh,
Go
that's
and
beautiful.
learn and explore the world." And now I was able to do it, and now I'm here.
And so many of our community, like tomorrow, for example, I'm going to go to an event at the California African American Museum. They're gonna have dancing and food and trucks.
Yeah.
And Exposition Park gives such an incredible service to our community, where you can go and recreate. You can go to the museum, or you can go to a game. And I'm now that you're speaking about this, you're reminding me all of the work that we have been doing for so many years to bring more open spaces and parks to Los Angeles.
Yes.
We're a very but a dense city, and we don't have enough like accessible green space and open spaces.
That's so true. So Exposition Park is in the most densely populated zip code in the entire state of California. It is one of the most park poor communities in the entire country.
Wow.
Instead of the traditional around 10 acres of green space for most residents around the entire country, that's the average, that community has less than 1 acre of green space.
Wow.
And the value that Exposition Park has in being able to provide so many of those different benefits, I think is really led by the green space and the climate change benefits that really come from having a green space in someone's own backyard that they're able to walk to. We take it for granted in different parts of the city, in different parts of the country. I was speaking with someone who's from Northern California recently, and they came to visit the park and said it was so unique because they were driving endlessly in LA, as we all do, and they said it felt so different from their experience of being in the redwoods and from being in a forested area. And the only green space they saw was Exposition Park in
Wow.
their journey in LA, the only kind of green open area and environment. And for a lot of folks that live in South LA, downtown LA, that really is the refuge that we have. So it's our job to make sure that we protect it and we grow it as much as we can, because we're not going to get that space again for a while in LA.
So what is next in terms of Exposition Park as it relates to the Olympics? The Olympics are coming 2028, they're coming to Los Angeles. You can kind of feel the excitement in the air.
Yeah.
People are getting planning, and there's a lot of ideas out there that I hear all the time. What is this, how is Exposition Park preparing for the Olympics in 2028?
Such a good question, because we're on countdown.
Yeah.
So we are less than, I think it's 1,490 days, less than 1,490 days at this point. Paris is just around the corner. And you're right. I think that buzz is really picking up because people are excited that the next big conversation is going to be around how Los Angeles is getting ready to host both the Olympics and the Paralympics. And that's really a unique opportunity because we haven't hosted one previously. Exposition Park is going to be in one of the most unique kind of places in history. We are going to be the only site at Exposition Park, the only site in the world in modern history to host 3 Olympiads. It's never been done before. We are breaking history mold here. And we in LA and Los Angelinos can say we were part of this journey, of this magical moment where we're able to host for the 3rd time. There's a lot that we need to do to get there. However, we have not only to meet this moment for the 28 Olympics, but we have a couple of checkpoints along the way, including the World Cup, including the US
Right.
Open, including the NBA Finals, including
Wait
the
a minute, the US Open is also coming to Los Angeles?
Yes, it is.
Wow,
Yeah. So we have, and the Super Bowl in 27.
that's
We
true.
have so many of these iconic events that are going to happen in Los Angeles, and Exposition Park historically has served as a landmark for most of these places. And in this case, for the World Cup, we're hopeful that we can host the fan festivals for the World Cup. And then also for the Olympics, we're looking forward to hosting both the Olympic and the Paralympic Games. So we have a lot to do to prepare. And along the way, we have these checkpoints and milestones that will help us meet that moment. It's going to take a lot of infrastructure investments. And this is what I'm really excited about, because we can use this opportunity as we're focusing with the global spotlight upon us to leverage this time to
Mhm.
make those investments, those long-term sustainable improvements to Exposition Park and really to the community so we can benefit from them. That includes more green space that we're
Mhm.
focusing on. It includes a development of renewable energy that we are
Yes.
looking toward, which is going to be great. Exposition Park is actually in a EV charging desert. There
Mhm.
are no kind of real sources of renewable energy and energy efficiency vehicle charging stations around the area. We also need to focus on just basic kind of gray infrastructure. But as I like to say, we need to make sure that we're balancing all of the really important gray infrastructure investments to accommodate millions of people on the roads, a million people on the metro, and millions of people kind of moving around the city. We need to balance it with green infrastructure. So we can't do it without it. We have to make sure that green infrastructure, along with gray infrastructure, is prioritized. So I'm thrilled that at Exposition Park, we're already focused on this work. We've taken a step in the last year to develop a plan, and we're now moving on action items oriented with it to create an entirely new green park at the southern end of Exposition Park, and then
Wonderful.
also an entire new area where we can be focused specifically on creating a new programming opportunity for the community. That's huge.
I was talking to a friend of mine actually about Exposition Park not long ago. And, he used to, he's a musician, DJ, producer. And he was telling me, he worked also for Obama, like in his campaign. He was um performing in his parties and such, in his rallies. And he was like, Aura, why don't we have more things like that, in Los Angeles? And what about Exposition Park? Because actually he knew about Exposition Park and the Lucas Museum. It's like, can they let us do something cool? Can they let us do like music and hang out and bring the community together and activate them for things? And I have to tell you, with the beautiful weather in Los Angeles, I truly believe that this is something that we should do all year round, because we don't have the terrible winters of the East Coast, or floods, or tornadoes or things like that. And I really envision a city where we have every weekend somewhere at an open space where we can go and bring our families and listen to some music and be in community. I think it's so important.
Yeah,
So I
we are looking forward to not only using the space for those events that you were saying that you've attended, the concerts and the community convenings, but then also for these really great educational moments too. It's a good chance for us to teach people about why we are creating more tree canopy in the community and how that's going to address extreme heat in the neighborhood, and why we're going to be focusing on the certain types of trees that will help bring more oxygen to the environment to address the air quality. So we have this really incredible opportunity, since it's a state property, to be informative and to be educating the community, and then also to just be a great environment for fun that people can come to and enjoy every single day of the week.
Absolutely. And so how does Exposition Park gets to be alive? So what is how because I just also learned that it was a state entity. I didn't know that Exposition Park was owned by our state, by the state of California, not Los Angeles City per se, or county. Um what's next for Exposition Park?
So we are now waiting upon additional investments from the state to develop the park. So we are looking forward to a nearly $400 million development at the southern end of Exposition Park. That is going to be that transformative moment to bring that new green space to the area. We have just, I think, a few days, a few weeks away to wait before we make that final determination, which we're very excited about. We're waiting from the state legislature to do that. But most importantly, I think, because we're preparing for the Olympics and because we're preparing for a World Cup, this is a perfect chance for us to engage community partners to start
Mhm.
talking about what they really would like to see as the future of Exposition Park. We had a master plan that we developed in 2020, and we're moving on some of those projects and those action items. But what we're going to be doing this next year, and also for the following kind of few weeks, we're going to be thinking long and hard about what we need to do to capture all of that information. So you'll likely see us in the community in this next year at community events and engagements, thinking about what we can imagine together in community feedback, so we can feed all of that into the actual hard development. So people will actually see what they're asking for at the park and for the community.
That's awesome to have the input and the collaboration of the community, because at the end of the day, that is that is exactly what who is gonna the park is gonna service. So I'm glad that you guys are taking this approach of having the community members also bring input and see what they want to do, which is unfortunately not, in a lot of other instances, doesn't really happen a whole lot. What do you love most about being working at Exposition Park?
I love hearing the sound of kids' laughter all day. My office is right near the school, and I open my window, and it's just a really fresh reminder that, gosh, we're doing this, and we're doing the right thing for generations to come. Like this,
Hmm.
everything we do now is going to impact the children that are there now, and their children and our children. Every single improvement we make is going to be a permanent improvement to the park. And this park has an over 100-year history. It's gone through so
Wow.
many different changes and cycles, but it's sustained this entire time. So it's going to be there for years and generations that are upon us. And that's just so exciting to think about that, and just to be able to be in this one moment in time at this place. It's such an honor, and it's such a treat. And to be able to do it with an incredible team as well. You know, I jokingly say we're a small but mighty team. And when you think about an entire 160-acre campus and a property that has over and close to 10 million visitors annually, you know, you think that takes a lot of work, and it really does. A small but mighty team, however, does it with grace. We have this incredible moment to bring on more team members. So we're
Mhm.
also going to be expanding our staff to get ready for additional work. So we're excited to be posting some kind of new positions. I'm sharing that with folks because maybe someone has an interest on your
Yeah. Okay.
go
Mark
to
your
our website.
calendars, folks. And if you want more information about, so I have two questions. If people that are listening want to volunteer, there's tons of people that might be interested on learning more about Exposition Park and becoming a volunteer. How can they do that?
Yes, such a great question. Thank you for asking that. We have been thinking about this new ambassador program and opportunity, and bringing folks that want to be kind of volunteer docents to walk
Mhm.
around campus to get an education from us about the history, about the developments of the park, to be able to share that. It's a perfect way to get in your steps at the exact same time, and then meet really
Yeah.
great people and go to really great events. They can go to our website to learn more. Our email address is on our website to reach us. And anyone who is interested in volunteering or positions can reach out to us, and then we can make sure to put them onto our listserv.
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, because I know that there's a lot of people that love parks, and sometimes we see our parks in not the best shape. So I always put a little bit of the plug for people to, to kind of come and give back. It takes a village for us to make an incredible space, accessible for all of us. I usually ask my guests something related, something a little different, like what's your fun fact? Like what is something that we don't know about you that we should know?
Well, you've heard her a couple of times during this conversation. You've heard my little dog, Coco, run around. You know, she's this little mix of a Jack Russell Terrier and a Shar Pei. She lights up every little room because she has a face that looks like a puppy, and she's already 5 years old. You know, what folks probably don't know is that I like to take her on these lovely long walks to just meander around different parts of the city, because I draw inspiration from people's different front yards. I draw inspiration from the trees that I see on the street. I draw inspiration from visiting different parks. Now, whenever I visit a park, I'm now focused on like, how many people visit this place, and where do they enter in, and what programming and what fun things do they get to see. So I take my dog with me everywhere on that little journey. So she's put in miles and steps just as much as I have. But most folks don't know that I often just pop into a random neighborhood in LA to just try to get some inspiration every single day.
I love that. I love that. And I mean, I also go sometimes in the evening when it's a little cooler and walk around in my own neighborhood. They have like a lot of beautiful little homes, and some people get so creative with all the lights and
Yeah.
the flowers and stuff. It's really fascinating, and I really strive. I mean, for years I have been an advocate for more better pedestrian safety here in LA. So that we can feel like we can walk around, and not just that we have walkable sidewalks, but we also feel safe
Yeah.
walking around where we want to walk, and also that we have trees that can make us feel that we're like in a little nature space. And of course trees are great to sequester carbon, so clean our air, and also give us shade. So there's a lot of cool stuff that
Yeah.
happen with trees and walking around. So I appreciate you're doing this because I know that the inspiration is there, and it's really cool to see that that's something that you do.
Yeah. I think as well, when we think about some of the green spaces in LA, of course, I think we take it for granted that we have those. And we have a lot of, some would call native plants, others would say
Mm-hmm.
drought tolerant because that's just kind of what our environment is. There's a lot of lessons learned that we can take from just looking at the trees that have existed here way before we got here and are going to be here even after. And we're trying to implement some of that as well at Exposition Park. So, we're not just going to bring in this kind of new environment that's not consistent with what we're trying to do with the community and addressing extreme heat. But like you can do it in such a unique way and still make it look pretty, still
Yeah,
make it address kind of, that sequestration that you mentioned, still bring some shade. So when you're walking in a neighborhood, you get that same reprieve. You can get that at the park. And it just takes, I think, some really intentional thought and kind of support toward it. So we have so many partners that we are collaborating with. We welcome even more as well, folks that have ideas about what we can do to improve the park. We're always open and excited and eager to hear some feedback. And what I really would love is, for folks to continue talking about Exposition Park and
yes,
for folks to see it as a destination because it does meet those many, many benefits and values to the community. And folks usually see it, as we started off this conversation, as one of those specific experiences. But you can have so many multi experiences if you come to the park. And the more and more we talk about it, the more and more we ask to see different things, the better that we can use that information and then make it happen at the park.
absolutely. So we have been speaking with Andrea Ambriz. She is the executive director of the Exposition Park, which we came to learn that is a whole lot, spaces for Los Angeles. Andrea, if we have one thing that you want to tell the audience about coming to see to Exposition Park this summer, tell us one thing that people should go and check out this summer at Exposition Park.
Oh, so great. I always say this whenever folks come to tour the park. We are in the before picture. There's going to be an after picture and there's going to be a before picture. Folks should come
Amazing.
to the park. They should look at the construction of the Lucas Museum. They should look at the construction of the Natural History Museum, and they should look at the Endeavour Space Shuttle because it's the last time the shuttle will be in open air. We're actually building an
Wow.
entire building around it that'll completely encase it, and it will never be out again. So this is
That
the
is so cool.
yeah.
Where,
So
where do we go see the shuttle? Because tomorrow I'm so there. I'm so there.
yeah. If you go to Exposition Park, honestly, you can't miss it. It is a giant orange fuel cell immediately next to the shuttle. It is the perfect place to go to be able to witness a moment in history because it's never going to be like that again. Once the museums are developed, once the building is around the shuttle, that's it. And we're going to be looking at the after pictures and reference to the before moments that we had in witnessing it together. And it's just going to be a moment in time we're never going to be able to replace. So I think anyone should come to the park, look around, look up, look at the museums, and realize that in a few years, this is never going to be seen again. It's a history in the making.
How fascinating. Thank you so much, Andrea, for being here with us and for sharing all of your knowledge about the park, for in getting us activated about how we can participate, and for also all your leadership getting this project off the ground. I love that analogy, and I think it's even more fascinating to see that you are in the mix of leading this place in the before picture and the future after, which I'm sure it's gonna be so incredible. So I hope I can have you back when we're in the middle of taking the picture and post picture taking too. Um, so that you can tell us more updates and let us know how we can also support your work and support Exposition Park.
Well, thank you, Ada. You've always been an advocate, balancing the community's interests and also, the challenges that we have in making some of these priorities. And you've done it with
Mhm.
such grace and with such commitment. So thank you to you, too, for giving us the space to talk about some of these improvements because all of this only works when we do it together. So thank you for including us.
Absolutely. And here at the Impact Hour, I always tell people that the mission of this live stream podcast is to educate, to bring awareness, and to activate people to take action in something that matters to their community.
Yeah.
So whether you're watching from another state or listening to this podcast in another place, get activated on your local parks, because we need all, it's all hands on deck right now. We're battling very real, cities and municipalities are battling very real state issues, whether it's do we build more housing or do we need more open space.
Mhm.
And it should always be that we can have both, because we need both,
Yeah.
so thank you so much for being here. I hope to have you again very soon. And we will be in touch. And I'll definitely see you tomorrow when I go to the Camp Museum. And I'm definitely going to go take a picture next to the shuttle. That is for sure.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you and maybe all of your viewers there too. Anytime, I'm always at the park. Anytime anyone is there, please come up and say hi.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you, everyone. That was Andrea Ambriz, the CEO of Exposition Park. And I feel like we learned so much today from this space, from that is a state entity to that it has so many other, a school in it and so many other things. And my hope is that now that you guys learn more about Exposition Park, you can either go and participate, take advantage of what it offers, volunteer, make a contribution, or go and take some fun pictures, around and check out the museums. I also want to encourage you guys to listen to my podcast on Spotify and in all of the podcast sites out there. You can also become a member of my Patreon, where we have a lot of different tiers, where you can also be part of collaborating here at the Impact Hour. And you guys know that the conversation, it always continues online. So I'll see you soon. And thank you so much for being part of my community. Have a great rest of the afternoon. Bye bye.